What's happening, my peeps? Well, it's Thursday night, and tomorrow afternoon there's going to be part 2 of the shit show at City Hall. You know, it's a shame that the Emmys don't have a category specifically for political meetings, because there's no question that the City of Miami City Commission would win an Emmy every fucking year. So, a lot of things were said at the first meeting, and even more things were written afterwards from articles in the New York Times, almost daily stories from the Miami Herald, including editorials. I mean, the Miami Herald even went so far as to write a lunchtime editorial. Something I've not seen them do for serious shit in the last 10 to 12 years that I've been writing my blog and covering the city of Miami. And then of course you got all the local TV stations and all the interviews and all the gnashing of teeth and the cries of embarrassment and shame and you know, woe is me, why is Miami stuck with a bunch of morons like the people on the city commission? Well, it's real simple. The fucking you gets, the fucking you deserve. And the city of Miami has deserved the fucking that they're getting right now for a long time. The so-called fathers of the community, or fathers and mothers nowadays, have pretty much sat on the sidelines making money and allowing this craziness to go on and allowing these maniacs to run for public office without putting up a slate of competent people. All of this has contributed to what's going on here in this city. So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I want to interject a little bit of reality into the crazy world that's going to happen tomorrow. Now, how the chief was selected and whether there was a process to vet him and all the nonsense about him being the Michael Jordan of police chiefs, which in fact I would agree with. The only problem is when Francis Suarez made that claim, he wasn't talking about Michael Jordan, the basketball player for the Chicago Bulls. He was talking about Michael Jordan, the baseball player for that AAA team in Alabama or Georgia or wherever the hell he played that went nowhere. So he was right. We do have the Michael Jordan of police chiefs. Only it wasn't Michael Jordan playing basketball. So I want to talk to you about the one thing that nobody has talked to you about and nobody has mentioned before last Monday's meeting, during last Monday's meeting, after last Monday's meeting, by anyone. By anyone. You know, one of the things that came up on Monday was the revelation that the chief of police had written an 8-page memo and sent it to the U.S. Justice Department, claiming that he had been approached and told to do certain things by the 3 commissioners, the 3 amigos, you know, winking, blinking, and stupid. So he believes, and he said so, you know, on several occasions, that that the Justice Department is going to look at his memo and investigate and come down here and clean house. That's all bullshit. None of that's going to happen. The U.S. Justice Department, the local U.S. Attorney, nor the FBI has any intention of getting involved in a pissing match between a bunch of stupid city commissioners and a chief of police who doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. The real issue that the chief should have raised, and which nobody wants to talk about or even get close to, is the fact that one of the reasons that the city of Miami is saddled with Joe Carollo, Alex De La Portilla, and Manolo Reyes is that she refuses to enforce the law. What law? City Charter, Section 4D. It's a subject that I've written about for years. I first wrote about it in 2010 when I was tipped off about this section of the city charter and how the various city commissioners bypassed the city manager to treat city employees as their personal employees and to direct them to do things that they weren't allowed to direct. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. In 2010, Mark Sarnoff had a chief of staff, Ron Nelson. And Ron was getting flack from folks who lived in Brickell Avenue. And so protocol and the requirements of the city charter required him to go and take these complaints that he was receiving to the city manager so that the city manager could then contact Alice Bravo, who was in charge of the Department of Public Works, or whatever it was that she was doing then. And that was the chain of command. But Ron bypassed that. Ron was telling Alice Bravo what to do directly. And I was tipped off about a series of emails. I got the emails, I published them. A few years back when Joe Carollo's brother Frank was stopped in Coconut Grove for a traffic violation and got on his phone and called the chief of police office to try to get out from getting a traffic ticket. That blew up because Frank would not accept a probable cause decision by the Ethics Commission, and because I was an ex-con, he wanted to take me on and argue that he was entitled to do what he wanted to do. That led to a deposition of the chief of police at the time, Manny Arosa. And one of the things that Manny Arosa did, besides calling all of his police officers snitches, when he was asked, how did I find out all the information I kept finding out about what was going on in the police department, was that he admitted under oath that he had given his cell phone number to all the city commissioners to make it easy for them to contact him. There was an incident with Frank Pichel, who just today was revealed to have a warrant out for his arrest because he supposedly told some Dade County sheriff down in Key Largo when he was staking out Francis Suarez's vacation house that he was a cop, when in fact Frank Pichel is no longer a cop. But when Frank Pichel was on the Code Enforcement Board, and Joe Carollo was running hot and heavy to try to get stuff to tar and feather the Bill Fuller and the guys that own the Ball and Chain, he had Pichel wandering around up behind the Ball and Chain one night looking for evidence, and then he had him doing other things. And there were pieces of evidence that showed that Carollo was telling Frank Pichel what to do. It's been, in fact, in 2018, after Joe Carollo got elected and decided that he was going to treat his district as his personal fiefdom, and that everybody who worked for the city were going to be his personal employees and do whatever he wanted them to do or not do in District 3. The city manager at the time, Emilio Gonzalez, aka Colonel Klink, had Human Resources issue a memo. And here's a copy of that memo. And this memo spelled out in very clear terms that city employees are not allowed to receive instructions or directions from the mayor nor the city commissioners. And I'm going to read you the salient points of this part of the charter. Except for the purposes of inquiry as may be necessary as provided in section 14, the mayor, the city commission, any committees and members thereof shall deal with the administrative service solely through the city manager. And neither the mayor nor the city commission, nor any committees, nor members thereof shall give orders to any of the subordinates of the city manager, city attorney, city clerk, and independent auditor general, either publicly or privately. Any such dictation, prevention, orders, or other interference or violation of this section on the part of the mayor or a member of the city commission or committees shall be deemed to be violation of the charter. And upon conviction before a court of competent jurisdiction, any individual so convicted shall be subject to a fine not exceeding $500 or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 60 days or both. And in the discretion of the court shall forfeit his or her office. Any willful violation of the provisions to this section by the mayor or any city commissioner shall be grounds for his or her removal from office by an action brought in circuit court by the state attorney of this county. Well, folks, there probably isn't a day that goes by in the city of Miami when the mayor or one of the city commissioners isn't bypassing the city manager and telling the various city officials, including the chief of police, what to do. Whether it be, as the chief claims in his memo to the Justice Department, that he was given a list of properties that Carollo wanted, both Carollo and Alex de la Portilla wanted to be harassed by code enforcement, or any other stuff. These guys do it every day. And it's not a secret. It's done out in the open. And this is the crime. Because if that useless state attorney would do her job like she's supposed to do and enforce all the laws, not just the ones that don't don't apply to a handful of people, this problem would go away. It doesn't take long. If one or two of these city commissioners were brought up on charges of violating the city charter, as it says right here, and brought before a circuit court judge and found guilty of willful violation, and all of these violations are willful, because, like I say, there was a memo issued in 2018 that spelled it out for everybody. I've written about it repeatedly. Everybody who works in City Hall knows about this and knows what these requirements are. If Catherine Fernandez Rundle would get off her drunk ass and do her fucking job and put one or two of these people in a courtroom, you would see how fast all this bullshit ends. But she won't, because she's the queen of the family and friends plan. And as long as she doesn't do anything, then nothing's going to change. Whether it's this chief, the next chief, or the chief after that, none of this is going to have any consequence without there being some actual punch in the mouth by people who have the ability to punch these people in the mouth. And instead, what you're going to continue to have is you're going to continue to have an asshole like Joe Carollo with his crazy shit, or Alex Diaz de la Portilla with his kleptomaniac, abuse of using campaign money to live off of, and trying to hustle people who come to him looking for help on a project by allegedly having his cohorts tell these supplicants that, hey, you want help from Alex, you got to cut us in, you got to make us 30% equity partners. All of that shit is illegal. All of that shit is well known. All of that shit the FBI sits around with its thumb up its ass and really won't do anything to deal with. Because the only thing you can depend on the FBI and the state attorney in Miami-Dade County and in the Southern District of Florida to do is to collect a paycheck every 2 weeks. That's it. These people will not do shit. They will absolutely not do shit. There's some real serious goings on, criminal enterprise goings on in the city of Miami, and have been going on for a while now. I mentioned in the story I wrote about Francis Suarez last month about a Project Bloodstone. That's a real case. That's a real incident. That's a situation that involves millions of dollars. And if the FBI and the U.S. Attorney would do what they're supposed to do and enforce the law, then they'd need a school bus to back up to City Hall to haul all the people out of that building in handcuffs. But they won't do it. So tomorrow's going to be another fun day for those who look on craziness as fun. For the average citizens of the city of Miami, it's just another day being fucked over by the politicians. And for Catherine Fernandez Rundle, it's going to be another day of being ignored and her name not being mentioned. That's a real problem, folks. It's a real problem because the Miami Herald should be writing editorials on a daily basis about this stuff. They won't. They won't touch her. They won't touch her. After she got elected this last time, and after all the allegations of wrongdoing that people claimed that she was involved in, one of the things she said within 2 or 3 days after she got elected was that she was going to form a committee to get to the bottom of all this stuff. Well, guess what? It's almost a year later, and there's been no such committee, right? She has willfully continued to fuck over everybody in the city that isn't a high-financed, powerful Cuban member of the Family and Friends Club. And that's the truth of it. Not every Cubans is going to say, "Ay, mira, es que este cubano está hablando." Like it or don't like it, this is all bullshit, right? Catherine Fernandez Rundle should be removed from office. Joe Carollo should be removed from office. Alex Diaz de la Portilla should be removed from office. Manolo Reyes should be removed from office. And while we're talking about Manolo, because Manolo likes to keep himself kind of on the side of this bullshit, and talks about transparency and all that stuff, Manolo's got a son named Manny Jr. Manny Jr. is a lobbyist. Manolo's been caught pulling strings for Junior since he's been a city commissioner. So Manolo ain't got no claim to be talking about he's pure and as the driven snow and all that shit. Manolo is just as dirty as the rest of these people. And I'm telling that to you to your face, Manolo. Fuck you. You have done the same stupid shit that the other two have done, only you just tried to keep it cleaner. So that's the deal. As far as the chief of police, I don't think he deserves to be the chief of police. I don't think that his past makes him somebody that should be the chief of police in this city or any other major city in this country. But that's an entirely different story. What I'm talking about now is the complete, utter, just consistent violation of the city charter, which if somebody would just enforce the law, would shut these people up and either get them out of office or put the fear of God in them. So that's it, my peeps. That's my say. I was thinking about going to City Hall tomorrow, but I know if I walk in City Hall, the first words out of that fucking Carollo's mouth is going to be, here's that fucking ex-convict, that fella that has come to visit us. Well, Carollo, suck my dick. Right? You're a scummy, no good, lying motherfucker who has robbed and pillaged and done all kinds of nasty shit. And you deserve not only to be removed from office, you deserve to go to fucking jail. So that's it. Till next time that I get pissed off enough to do this. Bye.